What is up, y'all? Thanks for checking out my videos. As you can see, the beard's getting longer, hair is getting a little longer too. You can't really see it. But ain't shit changed, man. We still doing the same thing. So today we're gonna be looking over some. I decided to kind of do reaction videos, and the reaction videos I wanted to do is something that had to do with New Mexico. So I just plugged in some, just New Mexico itself on YouTube, and this is where it popped up. I have heard of this unboxing from different places, and I was wanting to check it out and really see if this guy, Nick Johnson, actually knows what it's like to live in New Mexico. What do you say?
Do New Mexicans put chili on everything? Does everyone in New Mexico
Okay. He already hit a fact. Because we do. Of course.
have a state flag tattoo and has the whole population?
Wait, did I hear that right? Hold up. It's already hitting this shit. Hold up.
Do New Mexicans put chili on everything? Does everyone in New Mexico have a state flag tattoo and has the whole population seen a UFO? We're going to get to that stuff and a whole lot more. So grab it.
So all those are facts. You would know if he's New Mexican or he or she's New Mexican with a tattoo of the ZF flag. And I mean, a perfect example is myself. Hey, I want to do what they do. Sir! 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 Yes, that's a stupid question. Yes, of course we do. Stupid question.
A chimichanga and a margarita. We're going to unbox the state of New Mexico.
Who says chimichanga? All right, Nick. You got my attention. Nick. Looks like abuelita right there.
Ooh, where are we? Looks like a kitchen. Somebody's making green chili bean and rice stuffed carne adobada sopapillas with cheese. But this isn't just any green chili bean and rice stuffed carne adobada sopapillas with cheese. These are New Mexican green chili bean and rice stuffed carne adobada sopapillas with cheese. But it's New
Those look
Mexico.
good.
We should get out of the kitchen. More on the food later.
I don't know,
After all,
man.
the state's glorious outside, pal. New Mexico isn't just amazing food. It's really pretty out there, too. A quarter of New Mexico is forested, which you probably didn't know. But it's a lot more than that. The terrain's pretty diverse. There's large mountain ranges and barren deserts and beautiful plains.
It's like Las Cruces.
Caves. It's actually the 5th largest state by size, but only 35th in population. And there's only 17 people per square mile. So there's a lot of space, which is good in today's America. As we're going to see, it's a very misunderstood state and one with a lot of state pride. There's all sorts of various regions of interest here, some of which are super culturally rich, others are vast and isolated. Many are plain run down, but more on that later too.
That looks like Roswell, bro.
In Mexico, we have to see all the different areas one by one, and then we can understand this state a lot more. This is New Mexico. Now, as you can see, there's a lot.
Okay. So, let's look at this. Let's find out how, whatever this is. Let's see. So Northwest, it says Native Americans and poor white people. That's actually a fact, bro. That's true. That's true. And there is a lot of skiing in this area. Actually, Taos is known for for its there's a whole mountain range out here, really known for skiing. Albuquerque ghetto. That's a fact too. Mexicans who marry white women. Rio Rancho. So Rio Rancho is a more expensive area than Albuquerque, and that's just funny as shit. Mexicans who marry white women. Santa Fe art snobs. That's a fact too. I don't know about this. I don't know where he's getting his IA stuff from. There is a shitload of rednecks. Because you remember, this is neighboring Texas, right? So, of course, it's going to be full of rednecks. So this whole area, I swear to you, most of this area coming to the south end, nothing but rednecks. Nothing but rednecks. More necks. Okay, so he's put rednecks in this whole area. Oil camps, that's true. Aliens. Yee. And, of course, hatch green chili. You know, overall, I think he did a pretty good job. It's a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. I'd agree.
here. Like, it's not just sand, enchiladas, car thieves, turquoise jewelry, and Native American reservations. Well, that's most of it. JK, New Mexico. Let's begin our journey over here.
Hey, that's a good job.
Eastern New
You did a good job, bro.
Way out here on the eastern side of the states, where you're going to find most of the rednecks and the hicks, the cowboys, the ranchers, and the oil men in New Mexico. It's very conservative out here. It's close to Texas. It sort of feels like Texas in many areas in this part of the state. As you can imagine, it's very red in a somewhat blue state. It kind of feels very Wild Westy out here in some areas. I mean, this is home to Billy the Kid and Pancho Villa. The biggest cities out here are places like Hobbs, Artesia.
If y'all know who Billy the Kid is, if y'all watch Young Guns, if you don't know who Pancho Villa is, pick up a book, go do research on him. Pancho Villa is probably the most known just outlaw. I mean, besides Billy the Kid. This dude was, Pancho Villa is not even an outlaw. He was just fighting for what's right. We probably should do a thing with Pancho Villa next time, but Pancho Villa is solid as hell.
Carlsbad, Roswell, and Clovis. Most of these places are all sort of the same. Hardworking, blue-collar folks who work in energy or agriculture, for instance. You may not know it, but New Mexico ranks 3rd in the U.S. for oil production. However, it's boom or bust in the energy sector. Many of these towns have high crime, and these certainly aren't the most glamorous places you can live in the state.
Facts.
If you need a white-collar job, this is not a place to be. It's hot and dusty and isolated and somewhat poor. It's pretty, though. Homes out here can range from anywhere between $50,000 in the bad areas to $300,000 in some of the nicer parts of these towns. They all get kind of a bad rap for being bad places to live, but there's some good people there. Carlsbad's the biggest of these cities at 114,000 people, but none of eastern New Mexico is growing anymore. Nearby is the Carlsbad.
Okay. Carlsbad is the biggest, but it's because of the oil there. A lot of just workers are going there. People from North Dakota, South Dakota, like from the Dakotas are coming down. It's just not just one area. They're just coming down to work, so of course it's the most large. But if you want to talk about like actual people living there, I'm gonna go with Roswell. There's Carlsbad, Artesia, and Roswell. Artesia and Carlsbad are both filled with oil. I'm gonna say Roswell still.
Caverns National Park, which is a series of limestone caves and natural passages beneath the New Mexico desert. There's nothing like it. Of course, everybody's heard of Roswell. It's a big tourist draw with all sorts of alien-themed attractions. Lots of people in New Mexico still believe an alien craft crashed out here. And
Facts.
because of the vast landscapes and the history of supposed alien activity in this state, many people here swear they see weird lights in the sky all the time. Ooh.
You want to know a fun fact? So I've seen a couple, maybe, again, I don't know if I was just drunk, maybe took too much acid one time and still fucked with me. But I have seen maybe an alien. I don't know what it was. It was something in the sky that I couldn't explain. The biggest thing that I've seen there that not a lot of people know, there's actually a Air Force base that used to be down here. Now, this Air Force base is not there no more, right? They moved. However, there is, from what I've known and heard and seen, there is a underground highway down there. Don't know much about it, couldn't really say much about it, but I do know there's something down there. I've heard some stuff. You could hear traffic. If you go to the south end of Roswell, I mean, there's definitely some stuff out there. I don't know. I can't explain it. I do know the Air Force Base was one of the largest at the one time. So take that for what you will. Government conspiracies, whatever. There's definitely something under Roswell.
But that's not all in terms of alien activity in New Mexico. Up here in northern New Mexico is the Dulce Base in the mountains near Colorado. Some say there's an underground base here where the U.S. government talks to aliens. I'm sure the aliens are pretty disappointed in us.
So, it's kind of funny. I just said underground base, Colorado. I'd be funny if that highway goes all the way up there. I wouldn't doubt it, though.
That's right. Now, I can only imagine that conversation. But the northern New Mexico area is a lot more than...
And actually, if you go down on the west side of Albuquerque, you'll actually see a couple of these girls out there, or these little aliens out there. Usually in some high heels or something.
Imagine that conversation. But the northern New Mexico area is a lot more than alien activity. Taos is here. There's a lot of museums and art galleries in Taos. If you're young and don't already have a job, you won't like it there. If you're retired and have a creative spirit, you'd love it. But it's expensive. Homes are about $400K. Nearby is Taos Pueblo, the oldest still standing building in the country. This whole thing is made of adobe.
And Pedro is working on an adobe. Can you say that with me? Adobe. Adobe.
Adobe is a brick made from sun-dried earth and straw. Many of the houses in New Mexico, no matter where you are, continue the tradition of adobe-style home. There's a lot of skiing up here. Taos Ski Valley is the biggest ski resort in the state. New Mexico has 8 ski resorts total. Angel Fire is nearby and also very popular and pretty too. New Mexico's mountains begin at the southern edge of the Rocky Mountains. In between the mountain ranges up here are 2 communities of note. One is Los Alamos National Laboratory, a U.S. Department of Energy lab where they design weapons and spaceships and supercomputers. This is where we made our first nuclear weapons that were dropped on Japan. That was terrible. Most of the people here are like the smartest people in the country. That's one reason New Mexico has the most PhDs per capita of all states. You probably wouldn't fit in. And then, of course, there's Santa Fe, the state capital.
I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. I'm kind of amazed, I'll be honest. I did not know that. Because considering New Mexico is 49th in the nation for education, how we got more PhDs, I don't know. Obviously because of Los Alamos. But that's pretty interesting to know.
Probably wouldn't fit in here either. It's actually the oldest state capital in the country. This is a very eclectic place that was once a smallish art town, but it's become a wealthy enclave filled with artists and hipsters, snobs, tourists, spiritualists, and out-of-touch retirees. If you're rich enough to be able to afford to live here, good for you. Or dumb enough to buy a home in Santa Fe's hillsides. That's because of all the forest fires which break out in the state every summer. If you insist on a home here, be ready to pay more than $1 million. Many people here have the state flag tattooed onto their bodies. That's a big thing here in New Mexico, having a Zia symbol tattoo. If you move here, you'll be pressured to do the same yourself. If you're into art, you love Santa Fe. There's more than 100 galleries on Canyon.
Look, it's not being pressured into it. It's just we have pride in what we do and what we are. And I'm willing to bet not much people know what all 4 of the lines of the Zia symbol are for. First one to tell me in the comment section, you earn yourself a whole $1. I'll see you in the comments.
Canyon Road alone. There's also operas here, but who watches operas anymore? Besides all the artwork, jewelry is a big deal here in Santa Fe. Many people are into authentic Native American jewelry with turquoise in it. Many of the jewelry dealers in Santa Fe purchase jewelry from people on the reservations, and then they resell it at a huge markup. Poor Native American people. Speaking of Native Americans, this is as good a time as any to visit Northwest New Mexico. A lot of this part of the state's made up of Native American reservations and really poor, struggling former oil towns. This is also a good time to talk about New Mexico's terrible rankings. I mean, we had to get to it eventually, right?
Right.
Now, I know I'm hard on this state a lot, but I'm not the only one.
I am too.
Consistently.
Look, I am too. As much as beautiful as this state is, and as much as diverse the people are, and as much as pride as a lot of New Mexicans do have, we got to do better. We got to. There's so much things that are bad with this place.
It ranks as one of the worst places you can live overall. Much of that's due to high crime and high poverty. And outside of eastern New Mexico, up here is where much...
New Mexico has the highest gun shootings. I know it's hard to believe, right? You got Chicago and all those metropolitans out there. That's a fact.
...of the crime and poverty is. Gallup and Farmington are 2 of the biggest places in northwest New Mexico. Both are pretty poor and run down. In many areas just outside of town, people have to drive miles on dirt roads to get to their homes. And the post office...
I'm sure they got to talk about Warzone.
...has to take off-road jeeps to get people their mail. Some people drive 40 miles to a grocery store. Sadly, these places are in a death spiral. The San Juan Basin was once the oil and gas hub in all of New Mexico, but those jobs are gone now and they haven't figured out a way to fix things yet. But this is one reason New Mexico ranks 6th in the nation for welfare recipients per capita. The reservations up here are super poor, but you probably knew that already. New Mexico ranks 4th for most Native Americans in the country. This is one of the most diverse states, by the way. It's 49% Hispanic, 37% white, 10% Native American, 2% black, and 2% Asian. That's why you need to speak Spanglish here, like no tango money, or el shopping, which means the mall, or estoy full. But you never say that here. The food's too good. And
I like what you're doing, buddy, but you forgot a couple of them. Let me give you Adam's quick Spanglish words you might want to know. A. Real simple, real basic. A-Y-E. A. You could finish it in the end of a sentence. You could begin the end of a sentence with it. For example, what are you doing, eh? You're just solidifying what, hey, what are you doing? Have you seen my camcorder? Again, it's just either calling out, asking somebody. So A is a word. Next word I would say would be skonka. Skonka is a New Mexico word. Skonka is another word that you could use for a girl who likes to have a lot of sex and it's nasty. Skonka is skunk.
speaking of crime, we should now go to
You're welcome.
Albuquerque.
I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
No.
This is where I keep my memories. Those carefree days.
So yeah, man, it's those are probably my top ones I would go with. Is A and Skonka. You have Huachele. You have Carna. You have Firme. All those words are probably in the Spanglish dictionary if there ever was one.
The ABQ, the Q, the Dirty Q, the 505, home of the Burqueños, or just criminals. No, there's some really super cool people here. But the number of crazies and the druggies and criminals here are just too much to handle sometimes. Now, we talked about crime in this state. Albuquerque is the main reason this state ranks as the most dangerous state in the country.
Told you.
Honestly, I don't really feel like there's a part of New Mexico that I would ever be afraid to go into, you know?
Yeah, I hear a lot of stories of Albuquerque though. Albuquerque definitely does have a lot of crime. You'll hear gunshots apparently throughout the night. Downtown Albuquerque, and there's some sketchy areas of Albuquerque that are just you don't leave your car unlocked. You know, you don't leave your windows rolled down and stuff like that.
Now, there's some good spots in town. The north side of town's good. The eastern foothills are also nice. But the war zone's a place Q natives fear. That's an area on the southeast side of town. They call it the war zone because it has a lot of crime and shootings and drug dealing and prostitution. They put up speed bumps and have blocked off many streets here to inhibit certain traffic patterns, but it doesn't work. A lot of the hotels along I-40 are bad places to be. Stuff gets stolen from cars and hotel rooms daily, or your car gets stolen. The Q is tops in the nation in terms of car thefts, even during siesta time. There's a large gang culture in Albuquerque. You'll see fights on sidewalks or in gas stations between random people for no reason. Of course, Albuquerque isn't that bad, sorta. There's a lot to do, just like any big city in America. There's a lot of great restaurants and culture. The University of New Mexico is here. Besides the whole chili rivalry thing that I'll talk about later, you have to kind of choose between UNM and New Mexico State. You're either a Lobo or an Aggie. Albuquerque hosts the biggest hot air balloon festival in the world every October. It's a spectacle you have to see in person. The ABQ is home to Tim's Place, which claims to be the friendliest restaurant in the world. And I hear the owner, Tim Harris, gives out hugs. Let's call them. Closed? That's not cool. Forever? No more hugs? What a loss. We need more Tims in this world, especially in Albuquerque. Moving on, we come to the region that's south of Albuquerque. There's a few places of note here. Truth or Consequences is along I-25, which also happens to be a major drug route from Mexico. The city used to be called Hot Spring, but then in 1950, a game show dared them to rename their town, and they actually did. In the mountains here are cool little towns. One of them is Ruidoso, a resort town with gambling, horse racing, golfing, and skiing nearby. A lot of people retiring.
If you're from Roswell and you want to go out for the weekend, this is where you go. There's a lot of Texans, a whole gang of Texans that live out there and go out there shooting, hunting, Low key, if you didn't know, most I know some New Mexicans that don't like Texans just because they kind of just get in the way of people with their bedazzled belt buckles and whatnot. Oh.
Texas vacationers who flood here during peak ski and summer vacation months.
Like I said.
When it gets hotter than 100 degrees in Texas, West Texans come here in droves. It's also the closest ski resort to Texas, so there's that. White Sands is another of the state's national parks. The sands are made up of gypsum. People come from all over to play in these dunes. Moon watching and stargazing are also popular here, as is hiking and biking. New Mexicans say one of the reasons they love their state so much is there's so much to do outdoors. But do they actually get outside? Sorta. New Mexico ranks about average nationwide in terms of time spent outdoors, for an average of 23 minutes a day. And the air's clean here too. New Mexico ranks 4th in the country for least pollution, and it gets an average of 278 days of sun each year. Good for you guys. Also down here is the White Sands Missile Range, which is the biggest military installation in the country. They test rockets and guns and atom bombs here. You wouldn't want to live nearby. It's another big hub for the state's PhDs, so you wouldn't fit in anyway. And speaking of PhDs, it's time to move to the last region of the state, southern New Mexico. Las Cruces is down here, which is home to New Mexico State University, which turns out a lot of engineers and aerospace people and agriculture grads, who then probably leave the state entirely after they graduate.
Why did you leave?
Because there's no jobs out there. Las Cruces especially. It's a big city. It's the second largest in New Mexico, but it's not that big. It's only like a little over 100,000 people.
Yeah.
There's some tech jobs, but there's no like entry-level tech jobs out there. True.
Are a lot of people leaving New Mexico when they finish college, and is it like brain drain, everybody leaves, or are you rare in that you left but most people stay?
No, I think most people leave. On top of there not being a lot of jobs, there's not a lot to do. I think you said it in one of the videos, where you rank the southwestern part of the U.S., where there's like nothing to do in New Mexico almost. It's like hiking and desert,
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of people are just discouraged to stay because of that. Maybe because of family, they'll stick around.
I don't know what this guy's talking about. I agree, there's sometimes not much to do, but there is. You just gotta find out what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? So, for instance, you don't have to do hiking. That's like white people shit. Most of us just go out shooting if you want to, hunting, fishing. Fishing's around all summer. It depends on what you want to shoot for hunting. There's always something to hunt. Besides this, there's a lot of outdoor stuff you could do. But like I said, for instance, for Roswell, you can go to Ruidoso, and if you want to go gamble, you want to go out shopping out there. He's right to a tent, but I know people. I used to know people who went to Colorado and moved up there just for the outdoors. So,
but
if you want to sell online.
Yeah, I don't completely agree with that, but I do see him.
Las Cruces is a good place to live. A lot of people come here to retire. It can be a bit boring unless you like the outdoors, but it's far cheaper than in the northern mountains. There aren't a lot of jobs here, just like the rest of the state, unless you want to work for the government or are in the aerospace, defense, energy, military, agriculture, or tourism industries. That's why a lot of people who get an education here leave here. But enough with all that other stuff. It's time to talk about the real reason we came here, the New Mexico food and the chili. New Mexico is the chili capital of the world. They grow a specific type of chili.
Big facts, sir. When you say that with pride. Big facts. You almost got to yell that stuff, all right? Big facts.
That doesn't grow anywhere else. And a lot of the chili peppers grown in this state are grown here in Hatch Valley. The chili and the food is what this state takes pride in most, hombre. And it's not Mexican food, it's new Mexican food. There's a difference. If you can
Really
wrap
is.
it with a tortilla and cover it with chili, they'll eat it here because a big part of the food here centers around the chili. They put chili on everything.
What that boy was doing is called roasting chili. If y'all don't know, I'm going to educate y'all for a little bit. That's called roasting chili. So chili comes out in the fall time, about August, September, throughout most of October. the green chili would be there. And what you do is you have these big burners, and they go inside these, you just seen those cages, and you put bushels in there and you roast the chili. Brings a whole new flavor, and you will smell it. Like when fall comes around, you can smell that green chili, and it's just like
Thing here. I mean, everything. If there's one thing New
Ooh.
Mexicans can't agree on, it's red or green chili. They'll argue about it for days.
Hey, no, the correct answer is mixed or Christmas.
Everything here has either red or green chili in it. New Mexicans are super loyal to their choice of red or green chili. Or if you can't pick, you can get it Christmas style, which means both red and green chili. Yay! A lot of the people in southern New Mexico like green chili, and folks Albuquerque north like red chili more.
I love green chili.
Sort of. Red chili is more earthy and robust, while green chili is more fruity and spicy. Anyways, if you move here, before you even have a chance to pick out drapes, you have to pick your chili. And the food on which the chili goes is totally unique to New Mexico and something that gets people all fired up. Blue corn chicken enchiladas.
That was enchiladas. That's red stacked enchiladas with egg on top, boy.
Green chili cheeseburgers, sopapillas stuffed with anything you want, green chili stew, chili rellenos, and of course, basic stuff like tacos and burritos, but those are for the tourists. You could do a whole video just on New Mexican food. It's actually making me quite hungry right now. There's a lot to this state with all the food and the history and the beauty and the culture. Many people in New Mexico love their state, and they have a lot of state pride. Some are embarrassed and ashamed that their state gets such a bad rap. Some parts here are difficult and dangerous places to live.
You know, sir, I would agree with you there. However, what I'm going to say is that most New Mexicans as well have pride. And even though we are not the best, we know that. And so we have pride in that because we know where we came from. And we all have the same objective is we want to better ourselves. I mean, majority, I think, of not just New Mexicans, but people in general. But we do have pride in pretty much everything we do, whether it be the food we make, whether it be our crime rate. We're proud of that stuff because that's what makes us us. It's bad that it has come down to the most violent or the most, as far as crime. But I'm more ashamed of the education. Simple as that.
But it's still their home, and though it's flawed in so many ways, there's a lot of potential here to be great outside of its own borders. Endless sunshine, a relaxed vibe, a low cost of living for the most part. They're very in tune with their heritage and culture.
Hold up.
Outside of its own borders.
Did you see this guy, bro?
Sunshine,
She does not look like she wants to be there, boy. She does not look like she's not. They're not like they're all actors, or maybe they are together. But she's like, what the fuck am I doing with this motherfucker? Look at this dude back there. I don't know if he's checking her out or if he's just like, what guy? What are you guys doing?
Vibe, a low cost of living for the most part. They're very.
She does not want to be there, boy. She does not want to be
in
there.
tune with their heritage and culture here, and they want to preserve their style of food and their ceremonies and buildings. There's nothing like New Mexico in America, and that's a shame. Okay, so we did a pretty good job of covering New Mexico, didn't we? Yes, we did. And there's all kinds of other stuff we could have talked about too, like how New Mexico is becoming a craft beer state, or how people are coming here to make movies now. They're becoming a movie production hub, or all the road runners everywhere, or the other cultural stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of other cultural things we could have talked about, but we have to go. I think there's a monsoon coming, and I have to go to El Shopping before it gets too flooded.
Yeah, I don't know about that, bro. I liked your video. I'm going to definitely give you a thumbs up. I think... Oh, I gotta sign in. All right, Nick Johnson. I see you, buddy. I'm going to rate this video about 9 out of 10. I feel like if you had more people who actually are more cultural in this stuff, who actually more pride in this stuff, who are still here, maybe get a different side of things. But you pretty much hit all the stuff. I mean, the stuff that I brought up, you literally just brought up right after it. I mean, I didn't watch this video until then, and you hit all of them, man. I mean, the only thing I would agree, if you guys want to check out some low key stuff, if you want something cheap and simple to eat, go check out Allsups, man. You won't be disappointed. Get yourself a nice little bean and cheese burrito they have, or bean and meat burrito. I'm sorry. That shit's smacking, boy. You'll thank me later on that one. So all right, guys, this is my last video. My video is finished. Thank you for watching. If you like it, man, like, comment, subscribe. Again, if y'all could tell me the 4 out of the Z symbol, what all of the lines represent, the circle represents, I got you for that buck. I swear, I got you. All right, guys, y'all have a good one, and I'll talk to you on the flip. Be safe.